Good evening, everybody. This council meeting of February 1st, 2022 is called to order. Councilmember Peterson will not be with us today. Can I get a motion to excuse her?
I move to excuse Councilmember Peterson from tonight's meeting.
Second.
All right, it's motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, and let's start our Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner McDowell, Councilmember McDowell, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Everybody, please mute your mics.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember.
You're welcome.
Carrie, could you do a roll call, please?
Yes, I will, Mayor Inesco. We'll start with you, Mayor Inesco,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Schmidt,
Here.
Councilmember James Bode. Come back. Councilmember Gutierrez,
Here.
Councilmember McDowell,
Here.
Councilmember Peterson is absent, correct?
Excuse absence, yes.
Excuse, okay. And Councilmember Sherman.
Here.
Thank you. And James Bode, should we come back in a few minutes?
I will try to give him a call right now. Be back in just a moment.
All right, do we have any late changes to the agenda? Hearing none. Does Jeff want us to keep going? Yes, okay. At this
Go ahead and
time, I'd
continue.
like to, I'm sorry. At this time, I'd like to remind the members of the public that they can make comments during the public comment period. Okay. Carrie, can you mute your mic, please? At this time, I'd like to remind the members of the public that they can make comments during the public comment period, as well as any item listed on the business agenda or action agenda. When making public comment, you will need to raise your hand electronically and the Zoom app. In the Zoom app, state your full name and whether you reside in the city limits, Mason County, or elsewhere. Option 1, join the Zoom meeting by clicking on the link that's displayed on the city's webpage. The link is listed on the agenda and minutes page under a tab that says more. Option 2, email the city manager, Jeff Knighton. And option 3, call Jeff's office phone. Both the email address and phone number are displayed on the screen of Mason Web TV streaming video. All right. Do we have any council board reports to share tonight?
I
Go ahead.
had my left board meeting this morning, so I just want to let you know that every month we have that.
Okay.
So that was my meeting for the week.
All right. Anybody else? Has everybody had a chance to review the consent agenda?
Yes.
If so, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as published?
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as published.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, this is our general public comment. Carrie, do we have anyone interested in public comment tonight? No, now you're on mute.
I am checking here, Mr. Mayor, and I do not see any requests for public comment.
All right, let's move on to our business agenda. City engineer Ken Gill has information for us regarding 2 design contracts.
Good evening, council. It's good to see you out in Zoomville on this foggy, icy night. So I'll be careful as you're going where you're going. So I know I've been slipping and sliding on my way in this morning, and I wish I had some ice skates on my pickup truck. So tonight, what's in front of you are 2 contracts, and they're for 2 different projects. One is the Safe Routes to School funding that the city received, and that's a state funding. And then the other funding is at Brockdale Road. So before I get started, my apologies. There's 2 contracts in there for Safe Routes to School. There should be 1 for Brockdale. So I'll get that fixed by the 15th. But tonight, Eric Howe with RH2 is joining us, and he's going to talk about the projects and his scope. But I want to tell you a little bit about Eric. Eric grew up in the Dalles in Wenatchee, and then headed over to Seattle to go to the University of Washington. He started his career at WashDOT, which makes him ideal for these projects because he has that background working for our funding partners. And then he's worked for RH2 the past 16 years. So I will turn it over to Eric, and he can tell you, and then we'll wrap it up at the end with any questions.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. So as Ken mentioned, so I'm a principal over at RH2 Engineering, and I manage one of our offices here. And let's see. So to start off, I actually do have some ties to Shelton. In fact, you guys purchased my great aunt's house right there by City Hall over there on 5th Street. It's like 218 5th Street. Does that sound right? It's kind of an old blue house there. So that was my great aunt's house, and I remember spending some weekends up there growing up. So yeah. So I've got a lot of my family that last in Hepner was my mom's side. That family's all from the Shelton area and all born there. So anyway, so as far as these projects we've got here, so as Ken mentioned, we've got two projects. One is the Brockdale Road. And Ken, are you able to share the presentation, or am I sharing that? I am? Okay. Let me get this going. Hopefully I have sharing privileges. Let's see, I got it. Let's see, where do I share button? Share screen. Okay, so can everyone see my screen? Okay, so here's kind of a blow-up view of the city here. So the first one we have is on Brockdale Road. So that is from Wallace to Batstone, and it's basically just it's kind of a mill and fill. We're going to be redoing all that pavement in there. And I mean, it's not one of those super exciting projects, but a necessary project. So that is essentially Brockdale Road. There'll be some coordination with the county for some detouring and things like that, just during construction. But other than that, it's not much more I can say on that one, I guess. So as far as the next projects we've got, there's a few different locations that we've got our safe routes to school. I guess I'll start up here by the high school. So in this area here, there's a crosswalk that's out there today, right across from the park, the disc golf course over there. So we've got, we're going to be putting in some new ramps, new ADA ramps. We're going to be putting in those rapid flashing beacon signs, RRFB signs. And then in the middle there, we're going to put in a pedestrian refuge island. And then on either side of the approaches, to kind of help with speed control, we're going to be putting in those speed feedback signs you may have seen. And so that's what we're doing on that one. It's going to be basically pedestrian improvement for that project there. Down into the city center here, kind of hard. I should actually, no, sorry about that. So in the city there, we've got a few different locations that we'll be doing some improvements there. I guess the first one would be at Franklin and 7th Street over there by Safeway. We're going to be putting in some curb ramps, some bulb outs, and then on the Safeway side of the intersection, there'll be an RRFB pedestrian crossing on that side. Over, let's see, on Railroad and 9th Street, we're going to be doing some more ADA ramps in that intersection. We've got some rapid flashing beacon sign on the east side of that intersection. And just so everyone's aware, I guess, when I say RFB signs, you've probably all seen them, but they look like this. They've got, the pedestrian push buttons, and then they'll have an audible, response when those get pushed. So that's kind of the look of what those look like. And see, another location we have is on 9th Street. Between Franklin and then there's kind of an alleyway down there. There's no sidewalk, no pedestrian amenities in that area. So we're going to be putting in some new sidewalk there that'll kind of connect to the elementary school. I think that's actually it. Did I miss anything, Ken? I think that's all of them.
No, I think you wrapped it up. The other bit of item that I wanted to do is make sure and thank Councilmember Peterson. She is your representative to the Peninsula Regional Transportation Organization. And the last council meeting where you were in person, she mentioned she sat at a meeting to get these projects into the Washington State Transportation Improvement Plan. So if you go into Washington's link for the January amendment, those are both there. And that's a big deal to keep that process rolling. So also I want to do a big thank you to our funding partners, Loretta Swanson. So we applied for that. We got the Brockdale money from the county and their allocation. And there's also a big thanks to Brian Diaz, a local programs engineer who helped us through the process for applying for Safe Routes to School. And a local resident, Shelton, with Shelton is Mark Brooks, a former WashDOT employee that was a big help for that. So Eric and I don't have anything else to present. We recommend that you move this to your next council meeting for action, but we are happy to answer any questions between now and then. The other comment that I'll make is that both contracts are out with WashDOT being reviewed. We got a couple of comments back from John Ho today. So we'll be sifting through those and bring those back finalized to you, ready for WashDOT to say, yep, go sign up, council. So that's it. Any comments from council tonight? I see a hand for Councilmember Smith.
Good evening. Like everything presented here, I just wanted to make sure it's considered as we move forward. We're going to be adding some signalization type of equipment here that didn't exist in the past. I just want to make sure that we, in future fiscal years, we're planning for ongoing maintenance and replacement of those pieces of equipment as time moves on. I know we just had a scenario. I think one of our portable speed units was vandalized or something like that, and I know it's difficult sometimes to replace that equipment. It gets quite expensive, but just making sure that we're taking into account the things that we're adding to our responsibilities as time moves on. So otherwise, I think everything looks great, and excited to see these projects moving through. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And I know that Ken and Jay and I have definitely been talking about making sure we include all the maintenance staff whenever we come up with these various products and when we reach out to the manufacturers, because we know that they're the ones that are going to ultimately be trying to fix them if something goes wrong. So that's definitely something we'll be doing. So.
All right, Carrie, do we have any public comments? You're muted. We're all muted today.
I'm trying to be careful. Mr. Mayor, we do not have a request for public comment at this time.
All right, do we have a motion? Go ahead, Councilmember Gutierrez.
We motion to move sorry, I'm having a lot of motion to move this to resolution number 1223-1221 design contract for safe routes to school to the action agenda for the next meeting.
Okay, also 1224-1221. Can you add that in there?
Yes, 1224-1221 as well.
All right.
Just to move to the action agenda for the next meeting.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to place resolution number 1223-1221 and 1224-1221 on the action agenda of February 15th for council meeting for further consideration. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr.
Our
Mayor,
next is- Oh, go ahead.
may I ask who seconded that motion? It broke up coming through.
Oh. I heard it.
Believe that was Councilmember Bode.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. And it was nice meeting you all virtually anyway.
Thank you.
All right.
And if I could jump in here real quick, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to note for the record that Councilmember Bode had joined the meeting.
All right. Okay. I would hope so, if he seconded the motion. All right. Our next business item is a resolution to update the master fee schedule. Interim Finance Director Terry Schnitzer has more information for us. Now you're muted, Terry.
Yeah.
I had pushed that too, and it didn't go. Sorry. Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. Tonight, I bring you the resolution to update the master fee schedule for 2022. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to be joined by Chief Beeson, Director Ziegler, and Director Harris, who will speak to the changes that were made within those departments. And I also want to take this moment to thank the departments to get that information to finance so that we can get this put together in a good, timely manner. And a special thanks to Brooke Kiltz, who helped a lot with this project. So the master fee schedule, it's best practice is to update the fee schedule at least yearly. If not, we find more throughout the year for any changes to update, to provide service, add any fees, or to eliminate fees that no longer apply. The fees and charges for service such as licensing, Parks and Rec, code enforcement services may be set at a level of direct and indirect costs as well as overhead costs. And the utility fees should be set at a level that allows for future service demands and maintenance and any unforeseen events. The fee schedule, which is Exhibit A in your packet, will show the track changes in red and blue. Red would be what is taken out of the fee schedule, and blue is what is added in. And I also want to mention that in Section 4 of the resolution, the language has since been modified a bit based on attorney suggestions. And so that has been updated already, but it just wasn't when it went to be published. And so that will be in your next packet on February 15th. So with that, I will turn it over to Chief Beeson and then Director Ziegler, and then following Director Ziegler would be Director Harris. So go ahead, Chief Beeson.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and members of council. There weren't a lot of changes to the police department's part of the fee schedule. We changed the records part having to do with fingerprinting from $60 back to $15. The fee was $60 because we were using a live scan machine that had a technology cost. It was also more time consuming for our folks to do that. Since COVID has started, that machine has now been taken over by the court. So we're back to hand rolling fingerprints. And so we rolled the cost back to what it was when we were doing the hand rolling, or fingerprint rolling. The other thing that we've changed, as many of you know, we are trying to get ourselves out of the long-term animal shelter business. And we have a contract with Kitsap Humane Society to handle adoptions moving forward. So we changed some of the adoption parts of we omitted some of the adoption parts of the fee schedule. We also removed some of the vaccinations from our fee schedule due to some changes in the cost from the veterinary services. So those are the only changes that we've made on ours. And hopefully in the future, we'll get to a point where we won't be doing adoptions at our shelter at all, but we're not quite there yet. And that's all I have.
And then Mark just came on.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council members. We have a few changes throughout the different divisions in community development. I'll start with the first on page 3, which is Civic Center rentals. We have included the language for a 50% reduction in room rental rates for local governments, nonprofits during regular business hours in the Civic Center, which is Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. This is a rate that was in the fee schedule previously and was omitted in the last update. So we're just updating that language to include that again. Within parks, it's really a clarification for commercial use. We had a $25 fee there. We wanted to clarify that it's $25 per hour for commercial use of park rentals. And in community development, we added the special use category along with the conditional use permit. These are similar land use permit processes. Take a public hearing with the city's hearing examiner. So kind of parallel processes just for different types of land use that wasn't included previously in the fee schedule update. So again, a clarification. And then we'll go into building permits. Again, a clarification for expired permits within the same code cycle. We've had some reissuance of expired permits that fell within the same code cycle. So we wanted to include that within the reissuance of a plan package to capture the fees associated with reprocessing those permits and reissuing. Deletion within the mechanical permit really didn't apply as written. So just cleaned that up and took that part out. The mobile home, the landing on page 11 included 4x4 landing. That's typically included, and as well as it's not necessarily permit required anyway. So we just deleted that for clarification. Take some of the wording out, make it more clear. And then the refund portion of building permits, we took out the IBC reference. The IBC might change their sections from time to time. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't have something that was conflicting within the IBC and the city's fee schedule. So this is a clarification point as well. And then just some clarifying language within the fee itself on page 12. And I think that covers all of community development's changes.
Do we have one more person briefing?
Yeah, Director Harris is going to begin here.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, Jay Harris, your Public Works Director. So if you go to page 13, I'm going to talk about the engineering changes for permitting. And then Brooke Kiltz is here to go over some of the other items. So in the first section, right-of-way and obstruction permits, there was just some just minor text changes there to clarify a couple things. On the public plan review fees for civil plans, we put a $250 minimum fee on that. The reason is most of the plans reviews involve hydrants, water lines, extensions. These are the small potatoes type of stuff, little sewer line extension. And by the time we asked for a cost estimate of the improvement and charged 3%, they're all over the 250. So we decided just to set a minimum one and then probably cut a bunch of people loose from doing cost estimates. Same thing with to go out and inspect that in public improvement on the really small potato stuff, $125. We added a fee and for the permit that a person would need for utility work, that's gas, cable, phone, or electric. And so you put in your application, usually most of them, this is for a right-of-way permit for like a new meter drop for electric or a new cable service over to Ken Gill's house, that sort of thing. So we have an application fee and that is 2 hours of review. And then usually we have 2 inspections. We go out there and look at the traffic control when they're working, and then we show up when they're done just to make sure they cleaned everything up. And utility connection application fee permit, we just cleaned up a little language there. ESC grading and stormwater, we put single family up to $150. So this would be a single family grading plan, a stormwater infiltration plan, the erosion sedimentation control. We'll review that and then go out to the site and look at it, inspect it. And I usually have to come back a second time and look at it again. And then for all other sites, this could go from a small convenience store, like a 7-Eleven, all the way to a Costco or something. We have a base fee that includes 4 hours of review, a couple of inspections, and then we're going to bill out at $75 an hour after that so we can pay our employees and pay the city back for time. This is for the bigger sites, right? That it's really hard to estimate how much time staff would take on some of these. For plan review or inspection, we've done this in the past where we charge contract consultant fees. That's when we have to send something out for a consultant to review. We have a design modification request for $150. So we've processed quite a few of these already. What it is if you can't meet one of the standards in the engineering design and construction manual, like let's say your road is steeper than 10%, or you don't want to extend the water line to and across your lot is one of the code standards because of topography or something. We are processing design modification requests and having multiple people sign off on the design modification request. So it's a really good process. That way we're just not approving things. We actually have a process to approve the design modification, and a bunch of people look at it. The last item I had was the traffic impact fee. It went up according to the municipal code and the engineering news record construction costs for the Seattle area. October to October, and last year October to October was 6.2%. So does anybody have any questions about the engineering fee schedule? Okay, Brooke.
Okay, so on the stormwater, on page 14 at the bottom, we're just removing the outdated fees and bringing it up so just the current fees are showing. The stormwater GFC was increased per the Shelton Municipal Code that we just did last June. The adjustment was equal to the average annual percentage increase provided in the Engineering News Record 20 Cities Construction Cost Index, and that was 8% for this average in there. Down to sewer, bringing forward the charges that were in the municipal code. We're working towards taking all of the monthly service rates out of the municipal code and into the master fee schedule. So there are no addition changes or anything with that. There wasn't any increases to those fees. We're just bringing them forward from the municipal code that was adopted a few years ago. On page 16 in biosolids. Do you want to explain biosolids?
Yeah, so biosolids, we have agencies that bring us their solids. So like the casino brings us tanker trucks of solids that they pump out of their sewer system. And anyways, we have a rate here per gallon depending on how much suspended solids is in the liquid. And so the way we've done these in the past is each person, we bring counsel an agreement for every single hauler, and these rates were always about the same. And I just asked, why don't we just put this in the master fee schedule if we're bringing in the solids and get out of all these contracts, and then everybody gets charged the same rate too. So that was the reason why the biosolids was added in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So for reclaimed water connections, there's a water meter charge when you are first connecting to the city system. That's the same thing with the regular water meters have the same water meter charge, and these, I think one of them went down, but some of them, for the majority of them, they did increase, and that was to adjust the fees for the new AMI water meters that we are starting to gather for the new AMI project. That cost is only recouping the cost that it takes for us to purchase the meters, and it includes the cost of the MXU and tax. So that's just a straight cost to the city. Let's see. And then down to the monthly water service charges, that's again bringing it forward from the municipal code. I believe that is the same for all of the following fees on pages 18 and 19. These are all coming over from the municipal code. And for the bulk water and hydrant use permits, the annual hydrant water use permit, we just increased it $2 just to allow for a prorated amount to be taken care of for those people that want to come in and get a bulk water use permit later in the year. Didn't really seem fair to charge them for a full year, so this allows us to add a prorated cost at $6 a month if it's issued in the fourth quarter. And then the water disconnect charge for non-payment stays the same. For the emergency after hours, we felt the need to increase that to $150 because the, what is the agreement? The guild agreement that we have with our employees requires a minimum call out time of 3 hours so they get paid, and that $100 wasn't recouping the cost for that at all. So for the emergency after hours, we increased it to 150 from 100, and then we added a little clarification to eliminate the planned maintenance or repairs after hours, which requires city staff to be called out for. So to help reduce that's been a problem.
We were getting people that wanted us to come out on Sunday evening, and to shut down their water lines so they could go do some maintenance activities. And they need to try to do that during regular office hours if possible. That's what we're trying to promote here.
If it's a true emergency, then it's fine, but this was a planned emergency that they had planned out for a week prior to the event of it happening, and we're trying to eliminate that. Fine for tampering with a water meter and cutting lock. We added that because that has become an issue. We have several instances where we have situations where they have somebody living in there and then we'll shut off the water from non-payment and put a lock on it, and they'll cut the lock. And we've had one instance where they cut the lock 4 different times, and every single time staff is having to go out there and replace the lock on it. So we added the fine for 150 per instance to hopefully eliminate that. And then the commercial fire line and the backflow testing, those were both related to backflow testing, and we didn't have a charge for it, and we've not had a charge for it in the years that I've been here, so we didn't see any reason to keep it in the fee schedule listed. I think that's all we have. Are there any questions for those changes?
I have a couple of questions, but I think we'll wait for a motion for that before we take questions. So, lost my place. All right. We have a public comment.
Mayor Nesco, I do not see any public comment requests.
All right. Do we have a motion?
I move that we forward resolution number 1225-1221 to the action agenda of the February 15th council meeting for further consideration.
I'll second.
All right. Do we have any comments? Or
Yes.
Okay, Councilmember Bode.
I do have a comment. There's none of these fees that I disagree with. I just think that we should be cognitive of our language and calling things small potatoes. 125 and 250 are a lot for me. I work really hard for that much money. So I just think we should be cognitive of our language, not calling these increased fees small potatoes. I understand in the grand scheme of a $10,000 permit, $150 to $250 isn't a lot, but it certainly adds up.
Point taken, Councilor Bode, they were small public works projects, and I thank you for the comment.
Any more comments or questions from the council? I had several questions, but I think most of them got answered. I have a question about the sidewalk cafe review at $280 per hour. What does that consist of for $280 an hour?
That is a large permit packet that I actually haven't looked at in a while. The fee didn't change for that one. Since it was first initiated, there's a lot of requirements that go into it, whether or not they're going to be serving alcohol. We have to make sure that they have all of the insurance requirements beyond what is your typical right-of-way permit, because if they are going to be serving alcohol, or if the structure is going to be permanently placed in there, if they're going to be screwed into the sidewalk, and if there's any potentials for trip hazards and such. I haven't looked at the packet in depth, but honestly, I think we've only had one applicant for this, and that's why we enacted it, and then we haven't had one since, which is a surprise, since COVID would have been a perfect time to have all that.
Okay. And and the discount on the room rentals for nonprofits, does that include parks functions?
No, that's included in the Civic Center rentals only.
Okay. And my other question was, what steps before we shut off water? Do we, obviously we send them a bill, then they get a pink bill, and then they get a tag on their door, which would say if we shut this off, it's gonna be an additional $150.
Correct. I think Terry can, do you have more knowledge on the process of water shutoffs and what order they go in?
Well, they will, once they are shut off for non-payment, then they do have to pay that fee to get it turned back on.
No, what steps before we get to that point? How much warning do they get? Do they actually get a notice that says, hey, if you don't pay this bill or call us, we're gonna shut it off and you're gonna pay an additional $150?
I believe it's on the door hanger.
Okay. Okay, I wanting to make sure that they understand that, hey, if you don't give us a call or pay this bill, we're gonna shut your water off. I want to make sure that there's enough notice.
Well, they do get, their regular bill.
Correct.
And then they get a delinquent notice if they don't pay from two bills ago. So actually, if somebody was current in their bill and then they didn't pay it for a month, they would actually get two regular bills to show their current balance and then what the past due balance is, and then they would get the delinquent notice, and then they would get the door hanger, and then shut-offs would be that next day after the door hanger. So there are quite a few notices that do go out.
I just want to make sure the door notice or something says that, hey, you're going to be charged $150 if you don't call us today or pay this bill. That they know that, their $3 bill is going to go up to $450 the next day.
Right. So those. Yeah.
So.
I'd have to go and look at the door hanger to make sure, when those increases happen, then we would change the notice on that door hanger.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then I have some questions here from Councilmember Peterson. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Question. She said, what would constitute a special use permit? Was there not a fee for that previously?
Yes, there was a fee for that previously. It was just omitted prior. We don't have many special use permits. Most of the land use permits that require that type of permit fall within a conditional use permit. And that might be, let's see, in the past, I've never processed a special use permit, and it's something we want to identify within our development code committee and probably consolidate to get all to conditional use permits for clarity. But a conditional use permit might be something like let's see, I think if we, off the top of my head,
Well, since it was a question and she's not here, I guess you could get back to her via email on that.
Yeah.
happy to.
Yeah, a conditional use permit is typically something that will increase traffic over and above what the zone originally contemplated. So if you're talking about like a school in a residential zone, for instance, or a gas station convenience store that's going to generate a lot of trips in a local commercial zone,
Yeah.
roads weren't designed to handle it.
A good example I just thought of, excuse me, Jeff, is the Community Lifeline facility that operates under a conditional use permit. And it's just an added public process that's added to that, so we can make sure that we are administering our code correctly and gaining enough public comment in issuing that permit.
Great. Next one, I wish I would have thought of this one. Tampering with meters, is that fine assessed against property owners or the tamperer?
That's going to be assessed on the homeowner.
We wouldn't go after the person who did it first and then.
Unless they made a police report with the police department that they had any tampering of,
Well, Terry, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the fine would be added to their water bill?
Yes.
Which is, that's a civil contract between the property owner and the tenant. However, like all utility bills, the ultimate responsibility rests with the property owner.
Correct.
Is tampering with the meter would that be a crime?
It's destruction of city property. Yep.
All right. Well,
Not to go down a rabbit trail here, but you're saying property owner, what's the difference between an account versus a property owner? So somebody pays the bill on an account, they're not the property owner necessarily, correct?
True. Landlord-tenant relationships are handled differently between different parties. Some of them pay the water bill as part of the rent.
Right.
Some people ask their tenant to do it, but the ultimate responsibility for those utilities is the property owner, which is when we set up tenant accounts. I believe the property owner always receives notice of what the bill is, so they're continually informed of what's happening with that account.
Yeah, that's actually pretty rare, because I think we went down looking at this a few years ago. It's pretty rare that we hold the property owner accountable for somebody else's not paying their bill. But okay, well, that answers that question. And then she has one, reclaim water connections. I think you answered some of this. Was there a new calculation method, one reduced slightly most, or a slight change but above 6 nearly doubled?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Reclaim water connections. Was there a new calculation method? One reduced slightly, most were slight change, but above 6 nearly doubled.
Oh, those are the water meter fees that I was telling you about for the cost of
the reclaim connections. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
It's the reclaim water connection and the water connection are the same because they both use the new AMI water meters. So it's the cost to the city of the water meter itself plus the MXU plus the tax.
Okay. Do we have any?
Did go down.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that. Do we have any other questions or comments?
Can I make a clarification,
Sure.
Mayor Nisco, to your original question to the, I just wanted to clarify that the water turnoff for non-payment is still at $100. It did not go up to $150. So I wanted to make sure that was clarified.
Yes, yeah, that wasn't actually my concern. It was just how much notice did they get to actually know that they're gonna get this extra charge, but all right. Any other questions or comments? I don't see any hands. So we have a motion and a second to forward resolution number 1225-1221 to the action agenda a February 15 council meeting for further consideration. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. We don't have any action items tonight. Jeff, do you have a city manager report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, deputy mayors, members of council. A couple things to report to you tonight. First thing I wanted to mention was that our superintendent, public works superintendent Mike Albaugh, and one of the supervisors, Todd Rhodes, did a interview with iFiber and talking about snow removal and showing some of the equipment we use to remove that snow. I thought it was done very well, very informative, and kind of helps people understand why we concentrate on arterial roads and collector roads when we're looking at snow response and ice response in order to help emergency vehicles get to where they need to be, whether that's the fire department or ambulance services or police services. So that's what just wanted to mention that. I thought it was a really good interview. We did the SMPD, or the State Auditor's Office, lots of acronyms, but the State Auditor's Office did a 3-year audit on the Shelton Municipal Parks District, and several of the council members attended the exit conference. That information has been released from the auditor's office at this point, and I'm very proud to say that we have a clean audit for our Shelton Municipal Parks District, and that's a great thing and a solid accomplishment for our Parks Department and for our finance team. Thursday, February 3rd, we'll start preliminary work on our Civic Center parking lot. You're going to see some holes out there similar to what we did last year, but that's the start of it. So no parking there on Thursday, but then we'll be back to parking there on Friday until we get the construction work started. But that's going to be the first visible sign that that work is getting up to speed. The Western Gateway project did receive approval from the Transportation Improvement Board, TIB, to go out to bid. So we'll be releasing that project soon. And we are going to invite members that participated in the Downtown Visioning Project to come in and see the actual nuances and details of the work that we're proposing to do, just to make sure that they're all in the loop and that we honor their participation and their effort in putting that plan together. So that will be happening soon, probably on a Tuesday evening, immediately before a council meeting, but we have yet to finalize the date. I'll make sure you know that date when it's finalized. And lastly, we swore in our newest Shelton police officer this afternoon at 3:30. Mayor Nisco did that. Officer Whitley joins us, and he's going to be a terrific addition to our team. Really glad to have him on board, and looking forward to working with him here in the city in the future. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Does anyone have any questions for a city manager? No.
I don't.
All right.
I do have a quick comment, though, not on his report, but I can wait till you're done.
We're going to add new items here.
Okay, perfect.
All right. All right. Does the council have any items for discussion? Mr. Bode.
You know that we're talking about utilities and shutoffs, and I don't know if it's appropriate for the city to let people know of these things or not, but there are places like Crossroads Housing that do offer utility assistance. And I've actually had tenants that out and utilize those. They're an excellent option, and they are available. So
yeah, we have. Thank you, council member. We have notified folks through our social media posts. We've notified folks up front when individuals come to talk to our customer service people up front. We've notified folks on our website and sent quite a few people to Crossroads, and they have helped us out substantially. We appreciate their partnership.
Cool. Thank you. I just wasn't sure if that was appropriate or not. So
No, that's great. We appreciate it. Is there any other new items for discussion? No? All right. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, February 15th at 6 p.m. We also have a study session on February 8th at 6 p.m. And this meeting is adjourned at 6:50 p.m. Oh, sorry. What I
Mr.
missed?
Mayor, I'm sorry, I forgot something.
Oh.
We actually, for the first time since we started the study sessions, do not have a topic for you to discuss on February 8th. So congratulations, everybody gets next Tuesday off.
Oh,
Very nice. So now this meeting is still adjourned at 6:50 p.m.